Professor Pete in studio with us today, a little Bible basics. And we love that. For a life fully lived. Morning, Peter. How you doing?
Well, we just left a lot hanging last week, and we'll probably do the same this week. But that's the story of our salvation, right? It's ongoing, and we find a lot of laughter, but we have to kind of learn from our mistakes as well. And so, poor Father Eric, still hanging. How are we going to get him his bishop-sized banner? And when last we left off with Rachel and Leah, remember, we were just sort of getting to Rachel's revenge. She has Jacob's love. And so God, the Lord by name, says, you know what? I got to even things up for poor Leah. And Leah becomes a baby-making machine. And, right, that family curse, Rachel becomes barren. And here's where Ron says, dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. There you go.
Because remember, that had been in the family, right, with Sarah and then Rebecca and now Rachel. And so we always see this tension, right? We mess up, and that gets God's plan a little bit off the tracks. And the world throws terrible things at us. You have this tension. I'm going to make you the father of many nations. Oh, by the way, a lot of your women are going to be barren. Yeah. There's that sort of by the way. And so Rachel, of course, had said, well, the only dowry my sister and I got, the fathers, my husband, my father, they're trading labor agreements and stuff. We just got maidservants. And so Rachel says to her maidservant, Bella, get in there and make babies for Team Rachel. And she names them, kind of taunts back at her sister. Dan, God has judged between you and me, and now I got one. And Naphtali, which means my little wrestler. Not that we're going to wrestle life, but, I have wrestled my sister and won. And so other than the child production, they totally push Jacob out of the picture. It's, yes, the men ruled the world, but the women ruled the men. and Leah, of course, is like, well, you know what? Two can play at this game. I've got a maidservant, Zilpha. Get in there and make babies for Team Leah. And so we get Gad, which means lucky, and Asher, which means happy. And you got to think, I figured on 12 tribes of Israel. I didn't exactly plan on it quite this way, but still the plan is going forward. And of course, then comes the Pentecost, the wheat harvest. We forget that that's Old Testament. And so we read in Genesis 30, one day during the Pentecost, when Reuben was out in the field, he came upon some mandrakes, which he brought home to his mother Leah. Rachel then said, please let me have some of your son's mandrakes. And Leah replied, was it not enough for you to take away my husband? You must also now take his mandrakes too. Well, all right then, Rachel answered, in exchange for your son's mandrakes, Jacob can spend one night with you. Because we all know he's really my husband, but I want those mandrakes. And you're like, well, what's the deal with mandrakes? Mandrakes were thought back in the day to be kind of like an ancient Bible enhancement powder or potion. And so Rachel wants those. She's like, I'm having trouble here, so I want the mandrakes. And she says, you get one night, even though, of course, you married him first. You get one night. I mean, the nerve. And, of course, guess what? Leah has another baby that one night. And she names him Zebulun, which probably has to do with like a gift that a bridegroom would receive. And it's kind of like she's saying, come on, honey, I'm giving you this wonderful gift. Can't you finally be mine? And then God sort of relents and he says, you know what? It's time for Rachel to have a biological child of her own. And she names him Joseph, which means, may God give me another. So even though she finally gives birth, she calls her son addition because she wants even more. And so this whole feud goes with them when Jacob says it's time for a jailbreak. And then we hear another promise where Jacob says, let that person die, and may God give me another.
Wow.
And let that person die comes together in our stunning conclusion next week.
Wow, I love it.
And maybe Father Eric, We'll get a banner then too.
Oh, wow.
Dun dun dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Wow.
We
What
need
a
it by
story.
December 2nd for the big old Christmas party.
That's right. That's right.
So,
Professor Pete, always enlightening and frankly, kind of fun.
Fun. And the story of our salvation goes on through families.
Very good. Professor Peter Sabilio, thank you.